sure that we create better housing choices for our families. Most of you have reported extensively on the brick and mortar side of our work. And today we're releasing a report that really talks about the family movement. And I need to start off by saying that as we look at family movement, we're clearly convinced that housing opportunities and housing choices that families have made over the last few years are far superior to what they lived in before the plan started. The vast majority reside in the same properties where they lived in 1999. The balance of the original seniors have either died or moved or are living without a CHA subsidy. But I'm sure what you really want to talk about today is the family movement. So as we look at family movement, the majority of this report will speak to that issue. Of the original 10199 residents who lived in family housing, nearly 60%, or 9,338, remain in the CHA system. The balance of these families are outside of the system. They fall into the following categories. Either they passed away, they were evicted, they left on their own with no intentions of return, or they have left and told us at some point they would like to return to CHA. Let me be clear, if there's anyone that's left but if there's anyone who's left but still has the right to return to housing, they need to call us and we can start that discussion. So there's a population out there that has not contacted us. And we said this over and over again. Once they do, we start the process of them being considered to be brought back in public housing.
Being moved out, deconstructing public housing, so you no longer have these concentrations. The main purpose when you started was to move families out of these dense concentrations of poverty and crime. But these families have moved right back into areas of crime and poverty. Does that defeat your whole purpose? I mean, you're just saying they chose this and it's okay.
Not at all. It doesn't defeat our purpose because A, the housing conditions that they were living in before we deconstructed were not satisfactory housing conditions. A. B, as we counsel families on their choice. You know, again, there's something called fair housing we have to deal with. So if we were to say you must move here and you must move there, we can't do that. But what we can do and what we continue to do is counsel families on their choices. We counsel families on making sure that they don't live into the stereotypical behaviors that some of these communities suggest. We counsel families on their abilities to better educate themselves, to find work. Some of these communities you're talking about, let's be very clear, there's some very fine, law-abiding, good citizens that live in those communities. Absolutely. You have a few bad apples, so I want to be clear that as we help families make their decisions on where they want to move, within that counseling process, we're continuing to talk about education, about self-sufficiency, about job opportunities, about behaviors that are consistent, you know, with being a good neighbor. So all of those things are a part of that process. As families say, I'm looking to move.
I am presently a public housing resident who is employed at the Chicago Housing Authority, who has worked on the plan and relocating residents throughout the authority. I was also a member of the CAC, the Central Advisory Council, who worked diligently with the CHA to help move residents to their permanent housing.
So do you think, what kind of picture does this paint for you about what, is this a positive picture for you, what happened to CHA residents? Does this give you concern? Can you talk about what's your reaction to these numbers?
At this point, because we've been reaching out to a lot of residents to come back, for the most part, those that want to come back now have come back. And we've also negotiated with CHA through the Central Advisory Council that those that choose to come back later on, that they too can come back.
In reaction to the percentages of people who are evicted, do you think that that's good for CHA because they're getting out people who are causing trouble, or do you think CHA is looking to get rid of people?
I don't think anybody's looking to get rid of people. CHA is in the business of housing people, not evicting people. But in my community, I work with the residents to try to sustain them in their housing, but there are some of us that we can't save. And you know, we reach out to them to try to provide them with services to homeless shelters or places to store their furniture until they're able to establish themselves.